Hi y'all, my name is John Nolt. I am recently retired as a philosophy professor at the University of Tennessee. Came here to Knoxville in 1978, so I was 44 years in that job. I taught logic and I taught environmental ethics and did a lot of environmental activism outside of the university work. And so it was in that context that I met Bill Nickel in the late 1980s when he was founding Narrow Ridge, and got involved and have been involved off and on ever since.
Every little bit of carbon we put into the atmosphere causes continuing ramifications for tens of thousands of years. When I tell my students this, they say, "You're the most depressing person." We can't stand this. And I say, but look, what this means is that you can do something about it.
But the thing that really changed things for me was the birth of my daughter in 1985. Eventually, after several months, it became clear to me that I wasn't depressed. I was angry, and I wasn't expressing my anger. And the anger was about the world in which she was going to grow up was not as good. It was not going to be as beautiful or as green or as good as the world in which I grew up. And I wanted that for her. It means teaching. It means educating people about the nature of the problems. But it also means living, it means walking the talk. Earthkeeping is hard, but it brings so much meaning to your life. It means that you're not just a parasite on this earth. You're actually working against the tendency of humanity to degrade and destroy so much, which is what we're doing now.
My name is Glenda Struss-Keyes.
I'm Marcus Keyes, and we're a couple. I'm from Ireland, as my accent may determine.
Grew up in Oregon, West Coast, and on a farm. From there, I went to join the Columban Missionary Sisters.
I grew up in a hill country, probably, but a hill country by the sea. I joined the Columban Fathers as seminarian. Was ordained in 1963, December. Following September, I was assigned, I went to the Philippines, which about...
Started out in the Philippines as a teacher. I wanted to get to know who I was with, the culture, and so I was working then in a small barrio, a village, for 5 years.
And I worked in pastoral situations in various parishes. But really, when martial law was declared, I was preaching on the destruction of the rainforest, which I thought was most important. There was a lot of, not just what we might call the destruction of human rights, but actually murder of innocent people. This was a reality we lived with, and you did what you had to do, and to heck with the consequences of doing it. You spoke the truth and take the consequences.
I believe the world belongs to you. The world belongs to our movement, because we offer the greatest hope. A world free from the destructive force of nuclear weapons. Thank you for taking the resources away from essential human needs such as healthcare, good education, good housing, as well as from environmental protection and environmental enhancement.
I think it means for me to be an earth keeper, to try and try every day to go out and appreciate and love what's around me, and then to do anything possible to share that with those whom I meet, but basically to live as lightly as possible on earth, and what I can do now, except that I may be a little limited in what I can do, but do what I can.
What it means to me is to be a good member as good as I can, member of the whole family of Earth. And to express my own faith and to try and help people who share the same faith as I do, particularly, to see and experience that also from a faith perspective.
My name is Chris Battle, and I'm a farmer. Let's pray.
Well, the mission is to fight food disparity here in East Knoxville, to be an advocate for better eating, better nutrition, more available, accessible, affordable, fresh fruits and vegetables here in the community. Well, we plan on this being a teaching farm, so we're going to have groups come in, and we're going to teach them the whole process. We're going to be teaching composting, about general gardening. We're getting bees on Sunday. We're calling them the Cardi bees, and just general thing, and just helping particularly young people learn the value of gardening and taking care of the earth.
You see, the USDA says that a food desert is an area that has limited access to affordable and nutritious food. These are usually low-income areas where at least 1/3 of the residents live more than 1 mile from a grocery store or a farmer's market. If you go to the corner store in my community, you find out that food is expensive. They rip you off at the dollar store. You think you're paying less, but you're actually paying more for less. And the poo they sell us is high in fat, high in sugar and sodium, which leads to high incidence of morbidity, cancer, hypertension, diabetes. Your zip code shouldn't determine your accessibility to available and affordable food. The answer is God's people participating in the gospel. And I, in essence, heard the Lord say, Chris, you feed them. I said, huh? He said, yeah, you feed them. He said, instead of asking folks to come to church, why don't you take the church to them? You feed them. What's my point? Is that when we begin to invest in our communities, when we begin to meet pertinent needs, the community will begin to invest in you.
Now, from the belly of the beast, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Sister Mary Dennis, living for a nuclear-free world.
My years of nonviolence resistance and acts of conscience have their roots in my Christian baptismal promise to renounce and resist evil, and in the public witness of my religious vows as a Catholic sister. This modernization will cost taxpayers $4 million an hour, every hour, for the next 30 years. Just think, none of this money will ever touch the lives of people made poor or to protect our planet. In a spirit of humility, I ask forgiveness from our good and gracious God and from my sisters and brothers for the times I have failed to speak and act for truth and justice. Sometimes I have failed to speak truth to power for fear of risking reputation, comfort, and security. On some occasions, my efforts for peace and nonviolence have been smothered by my fear of the powerful. In a spirit of hope, I pray that my nonviolent act of obedience to the God of life will aid the transformation of human hearts into hearts of love, and the transformation of human structures into nonviolent channels of justice.
So, my name is Hutchison. I work for the Oak Ridge Environmental Peace Alliance. I've been working for them for 20-some years now, and we work to stop nuclear weapons production in Oak Ridge. Our organization also works to create, the way we describe it is to create a culture of nonviolence in our community. Most people hear about the devastation we might expect if we don't rein in global climate change, which is very true and very important. But as I have been saying for several years with my colleagues, What climate change will do in 30 years, nuclear weapons can do in one afternoon. A few years ago, at one of our Sunday night vigils, we have a vigil at 5 o'clock every Sunday at the main entrance to Y12. We've been doing it for more than 16 years, never missed a Sunday. And one week the leader said, everybody imagine that you wake up tomorrow morning and the world is exactly the same as when you went to bed, except during the night, all nuclear weapons disappeared. And all weapons of every kind disappeared. War has been outlawed and nations have disarmed. In that world, what are you going to do when you get up on Monday morning? So everybody thought for a while, and then we went around the circle. And someone said, I would write a song. And someone said, I'd paint a picture. Another person said, I'm going down to the craft co-op and throw mud. And so it went around the circle, and I realized that no matter what they actually did in their life, every single person described themselves on that amazing Monday morning getting up and engaging in a creative act. That's what peace looks like. If war is fundamentally a destructive act, then the opposite of war must be